I'm Nancy Grace. I want to thank you for being with us. Bombshell tonight. There is a God. 12-year-old Brittany found alive. After watching extensive coverage, photos, surveillance video of Brittany's disappearance here on our show, a viewer, Teresa Shanley, spots the 12-year-old girl with convict 32-year-old Easley clear on the other side of the U.S., San Francisco.
We have good news that Britt is safe.
We have located Brittany.
The witness felt that they had seen the suspect on a Nancy Grace television show. In this case, we believe that that is an accurate statement.
Surveillance video emerges of Brittany and mommy's grown boyfriend at a local Walmart.
Shows them walking through the Walmart store and making some purchases and going through the checkout counter.
Observed a television show on CNN.
It's a party atmosphere, believe me.
Everybody here is just elated. There's so many tears, I'm afraid we may flood South Boston.
I'm happy. Believe me, I'm happy. He's a suspect, and I would say he's a very good suspect at this time.
We are going to shortly be joined by the woman who cracked this case, Teresa Shanley out of California, who spotted the little girl along with her kidnapper, a grown man, 32-year-old convict, Jeffrey Easley, panhandling. There's Teresa Shanley. We're hooking her up right now, but right now to Gene Casares, legal correspondent in session. Gene, why is he, Easley, propped up in a psych ward? Why isn't he in Virginia having a date with Lady Justice in court?
I don't know why he is in a psych ward, but I can tell you his extradition hearing is set for tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time sharp. It is not believed he's going to fight extradition. The question is, when will additional charges be filed?
We are taking your calls live to Alexis Weed on the story from the get-go. Alexis, how did he make it all the way across the country from Virginia to San Francisco without being apprehended?
Nancy, what we're hearing tonight is that police believe that Easley and Brittany would have left in that vehicle sometime after 9:30 in the evening, that they would have gone on Friday. This is the day that Brittany was last seen on that surveillance video, and would have driven cross-country. The car, Nancy, the mother's car that they are said to have been using, that 2005 Dodge Neon, that was found at a parking lot next to the San Francisco International Airport.
And the tent, the blue tent we told everyone about, that was purchased, I believe, at that local Walmart there in Virginia, that was found pitched nearby. So he was living in a tent with this little girl, a grown man, and this little girl sharing a sleeping bag in that blue tent. Where was it pitched, Alexis Weed? Let's see a map, Liz.
Nancy, the tent is said to have been in a shrub area that's about well, the way police said it is within walking distance of this Safeway grocery store where Brittany and Easley were eventually found.
We are taking your calls live, including our special guest joining us tonight, Teresa Shanley. She is the citizen who called into 911. She is the one that spotted this little girl along with convict 32-year-old Jeffrey Easley, who had taken this girl. He's the prime suspect in the little girl's mother's murder. 41-year-old Tina Smith murdered in her own home. The little girl missing. We find out that ever since back at Thanksgiving at a family get-together, relatives have been calling Family and Children's Services saying something is wrong with this relationship between this grown man and this 12-year-old. You got to go investigate. Guess what they said? They were having their Christmas party, and they couldn't answer calls. Well, somebody picked up the phone and did something, and her name is Teresa Shanley. Miss Shanley, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Nancy.
Miss Shanley, what happened? Tell me when you first spotted the little girl.
When I drove into the parking lot of the Safeway store, I thought to myself, oh, great panhandlers, and they bring a child with them. And it was a man and her. And I guess it was Easley was the man and her. So I got out of my car.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask you, what were they doing when you first saw them?
She was just standing. She was sitting down. He was just standing there. He was kind of moving around because it was cold and wet. It was wasn't raining, but it was real misty and dewy here. It was kind of cold. Not the cold they know back in Virginia, but it was cold for us here in San Francisco.
Was she sitting on the ground, the sidewalk,
No, she
or
was
a
sitting
chair?
on. There's a little bit of ledge, cement ledge, that she was sitting on.
What did you do, Miss Shanley?
I was staring at her, and usually I can read people's faces pretty well. I couldn't read hers, and I knew she was young. I didn't realize it was 12, but the look of her, she looked under 18 anyway. And the hair on my arm stood up, and I knew something was wrong, and the situation wasn't right. She stared at me the whole time walking. Once she spotted me, and I spotted her. We never took our eyes off each other, and the stare was, I couldn't read it, but when the hair on my arm stood up, I was like, okay, something is wrong here. The situation isn't right. And she didn't look anything like him, so I knew she wasn't his kid. So I went in and asked the clerk to call their local police department, which would be the Richmond station, and she did it. She dialed it for me, and I spoke to them and said, you know, there's a young girl out here with a white male from 25 to 35, and she looks to be between the ages of, I think I said 15 to 18, but she's young, and it doesn't look right. And last night I'd seen a show on CNN, and there was a woman crying to her aunt, asking for him to bring her home for mother's funeral and for Christmas. And that was the first time I'd seen her face, and her brown eyes is what got me. So I said, I've been talking with the police officer. I said, I was watching CNN, Nancy Grace. I think it was your show on I just know it was CNN, and that it may be this child from Virginia. And the cop even said, Virginia. And I said, yeah, there was a murder in Virginia, and the man killed the woman and took the child. And this might be them. I wasn't sure, but my intuition was telling me something's not right here. And sure enough, it was her and him. My intuition was right.
You know, Miss Shanley, the way you tell that story about how you came around and your eyes locked, and that little girl just looked at you, and you looked at her the whole time, and how the hair went up on your arms, and you just knew something inside of you. It was meant to be. This is the way it was meant to be. Do you know what a miracle you have been part of, Miss Shanley? I mean, when people were saying, oh, he won't hurt the girl, he's infatuated with her, he loves her. No, he is the prime suspect in her mother's murder. And if it weren't for you, Miss Shanley, she could be dead today. A 12-year-old girl could be dead today, Miss Shanley.
The witness felt that they had seen the suspect on a Nancy Grace television show. And in this case, we believe that that is an accurate statement. This person does match the description, the same name, identification as the suspect wanted by the jury.